Zen is one of the branches of Buddhism that is often seen as part of the broader Mahayana tradition known as the Great Chariot. In the West, Buddhism is usually divided into two main schools: Mahayana, widespread in East Asia, and Theravada, characteristic of Southeast Asia. Some scholars also identify a third school, Vajrayana, an esoteric movement common in the Himalayas. Zen originated in China when Buddhism spread from India and was strongly influenced by Taoist philosophy. It later spread to other Asian countries such as Vietnam, Korea, and Japan. The essence of Zen lies in meditation, especially in the practice of Zazen, sitting meditation, which helps a person to better understand the nature of mind and reality. Zen focuses on personal experience rather than dogma or faith in God. He does not try to explain the origin of the world or questions after death, but rather focuses on awareness of the current moment. One of the characteristic Zen methods is the use of koans, paradoxical riddles that have no logical solution. They help the student to develop the ability to see the world without the limitations of habitual thinking. One of the famous koans says, "If you meet a Buddha, kill him," which symbolizes the rejection of the idealized image of the Buddha and emphasizes the need to search for truth within oneself and not in external concepts. From all this, we can conclude that it is important to abandon our habitual beliefs and desires, whether it is faith in God, striving for material well-being, or getting rid of suffering. We often get trapped by our own concepts and ideas that limit our perception of reality. To free yourself from these limits, you need to be open and perceive the world as it really is. The truth we seek is already within us. This is the central idea of both Buddhism and Zen. Although Buddhism is based on the teachings of the Buddha, called the Sutras, Zen emphasizes personal experience, which allows us to comprehend the truth directly, rather than through intellectual reasoning. True understanding comes through practice, not through study. Zen is not just a theory, it is a way of life. He teaches us to live consciously, meditating, immersing ourselves in ourselves, and asking the important question, who am I? This is a question that helps us find our true identity by getting rid of the masks and roles that we often wear in society. In today's world, many people lose their authenticity by creating images to please others. We hide our real selves by trying to look like what others expect us to look like. This, as Carl Jung wrote, leads to the formation of a shadow, a part of us that we disagree with, but which still influences our behavior and actions. Zen advises you to stop and listen to yourself in order to realize who we really are and get rid of this shadow that controls us. When studying Zen, we understand that it is important to get rid of familiar concepts such as faith in God or striving for material goals. We often get trapped by our ideas and expectations that hide reality. True understanding comes through personal experience, not through intellectual reasoning. In Zen, meditation becomes a path to self-discovery that begins with a simple question: who am I? Modern society often forces us to build images and hide our true selves, which leads to internal conflicts. Psychoanalyst Carl Jung called it a shadow, repressed emotions and traits that begin to control us. Zen suggests that we stop, reflect, and return to ourselves in order to realize who we really are. It is very important to stop and ask yourself the question, who am I really? Not who others see me as or how my parents want me to be perceived, but me, the real me. What is my truth? Which path do I want to choose that makes sense to me personally and not to please society? Meditation helps us to see the world and ourselves more clearly, without the filters imposed by external expectations. Most of us are fixated on conceptual thoughts, constantly commenting on what is happening in our heads. We can't stop and often exaggerate, analyzing every moment. As the Taoists say, get rid of everything and let your mind calm down. In meditation, we encounter a lot of thoughts and feelings, but the most important thing is to feel the present moment without comments or ratings. This is what Zen gives you, to focus not on thoughts, but on the experience itself. When we meditate, it is important to ask questions that guide us to the true feelings. What do I see? What do I feel? What do I hear or feel? It helps us to return to the present moment, to feel real, not to get lost in thoughts about problems or the future. We often get distracted and lose touch with the current experience, but it is this experience that is the truth. We often live by focusing on the future, thinking about what is going to happen, or worrying about the past, about what has already happened. There are many sounds and noises in Zen, but their purpose is to bring us back to the present moment. It's easy to get caught up in your thoughts, but Zen encourages us to return to the important question, who am I? It helps us to clear our minds and focus on the present. When we tell ourselves, I do not know, we give up confidence and admit that we cannot control everything. This is a step towards openness and acceptance of ignorance. We are afraid of ignorance, so we often build concepts about how things should be arranged in order to feel confident. But Zen teaches us to find peace in this ignorance. When we are ready to accept that not all the answers are obvious, we become more resilient and open to a research approach to life. We all have problems. It's an integral part of human existence. We often try to solve them in order to become happier, but sometimes the problems do not disappear, but only turn into one another. We can get stuck in our own thoughts and concepts trying to solve problems, and the more we try to find a solution, the more difficult the situation becomes. In Zen, it's important to broaden our perception, and if we pay attention, the answers will often be right in front of us. However, if we are stuck in our beliefs, we may not notice them. Zen teaches us to be here and now, to observe what is really happening, and not to fantasize about what is happening. We need to react not to our guesses, but to reality as it is. This is the essence of Zen practice, to be present in the moment, to really listen to what a person is saying, and to hear his words clearly. We often make assumptions, and this can lead to misunderstandings. For example, in a conversation, we sometimes think that we are saying one thing, and the other person understands something completely different. So in life, we often draw conclusions based on our interpretations rather than facts. One of the key practices is to learn to recognize when we make incorrect assumptions, and instead of defending ourselves, just admit it. This allows us to listen more carefully, be in the moment, and understand what is happening. The simple practice of closing our eyes, inhaling and asking ourselves the question, "Who am I?" and then exhaling and answering, "I don't know," teaches us to be in the present, not tied to our expectations or ideas. Zen meditation helps us focus on breathing by directing attention to the lower abdomen, where diaphragmatic breathing occurs. At the same time, the abdomen expands on inhalation and falls on exhalation. This process helps us to be in the moment and realize our connection with ourselves. As Zen Master Dogen said, to study Buddhism is to study yourself. To study yourself is to forget about yourself. The essence of Zen is not to master the teachings, but to understand who you really are. And for this, you need to let go of attachments to yourself. Zen teaches us that our I and the world around us are not two separate things, but one unified reality. When we stop perceiving ourselves as something separate from the world, the separation disappears, and we begin to live with natural compassion and wisdom. It is important to be here and now, focus on the present moment, and not on what was or what will be. Living consciously and fully at every moment is the essence of Zen practice.